Thanks everybody for tuning in to another Board of Trustees summary. This is for our meeting on Monday, April 9th, and we had a couple announcements before the meeting got started. The first was just another reminder that you can get your Recreation and Cultural Affairs ID badges down at the Baird up until May 15th. They are $30 per person. You can head down there, or you can find out a little more information at thebaird.org. Public Works has begun collecting leaves and other garden rakings. And they'll be doing that up until May 14th. You can take your rakings or leaves or branches and put them out between the sidewalk and the street, not actually in the street. And for your smaller sticks and branches, bundle them up and place them out near the curb. The school board election will be Tuesday, April 17th. Polls are open from 2 to 9 p.m. And we encourage everybody to get out there and vote. You can always find up-to-date election information on our website at southorange.org. Additionally, we're looking for more volunteers to submit applications for the Special Improvement District Board. We have a number of applications in already, which the board will soon start considering. There are positions for residents, business owners, and property owners. And if you're any one of those and you'd like to be part of helping to improve the downtown, please send in your application. If you'd like to still be part of improving the downtown but not necessarily serve on the board in a position such as that, email us anyway. There's going to be plenty of volunteer opportunities on very specific projects and different committees of the Improvement District, similar to the way Main Street operates now. And to submit your application for that, you can go to the website at southorange.org, and on the left side, you can click the volunteering link. Also, we had an announcement from our fire chief that some rank changes to put our fire department in line with what most other fire departments in our area use was finally approved by the Civil Service Commission, and that basically moves lieutenants to captains and captains to deputy chiefs. It's important that, especially public safety organizations, when they're responding to emergencies, we do so much mutual aid and shared services these days that everybody knows what the ranks are. They're the same rank, and so that communication is a little easier between different departments. We also had a proclamation proclaiming May 6th as the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure Day. And I'll show you the proclamation on the screen here. You can also download a copy from the website. We're happy to do that to try and raise awareness, help fundraising efforts for breast cancer, which is obviously an incredibly deadly disease. And the more people that know about it, the more people that get involved, get early checkups, the more likely we are to prevent people from getting the disease. And the more awareness we can raise, the more funding we can get, maybe we can move towards finding a cure. We want to thank everybody who volunteers with that organization for putting all of that together. We had a presentation from Seton Hall University from Adam Lerner. Talked about a couple different things that Seton Hall is doing up on campus. And also he showed us a map that he had created with Main Street and some of the local businesses. So when after students are accepted to Seton Hall and they come to check out the town and they're deciding what school they're going to go to after they've been accepted to their schools, they now have a map that shows all the different spots people can visit downtown with coupons for local businesses. So when families come out and visit, we're really encouraging them, and Seton Hall has obviously been an amazing partner in making sure that people appreciate and understand and get to see the downtown when they come out to visit Seton Hall. We went on to approve our minutes, and we had a first of two public comment sections, and I'll talk a little bit about meeting formats in a minute. We had a number of people who came mostly to talk about support for the two nonprofits, the Community Coalition on Race and YouthNet, whose funding were in jeopardy for this year. If you want to see what people said, I implore you to watch the meeting. Again, I don't want to try and summarize what each individual person said. We went on to two ordinances that were on first reading. 2012-06 was an ordinance about vacant storefronts, basically allowing businesses, instead of putting up black paper on the storefronts, to consult with Main Street, or now soon the Special Improvement District, to put up posters or artwork or something else that's a little bit more pleasant to look at. And we expect that after the Improvement District is set up and working, that we'll revise that ordinance again to make it a little stronger, to perhaps require that a vacant store put up artwork by a local artist, for example, rather than just put up black paper, which doesn't really look that great. We're trying to improve the aesthetics of the downtown. This is a step we can take in the right direction. Our next ordinance, that ordinance did pass 6-0 on first reading. Our next ordinance, 2012-07, was just bringing up to code It's kind of a housekeeping issue as far as how we regulate satellite antennas, and it's again more of a housekeeping issue to bring our ordinances up to code. That was passed 6-0 on first reading. We did introduce the 2012 budget. We first introduced a resolution to read the budget by title instead of reading every single line item, and that means that a couple of qualifications have to be met, including the budget being available in the public library, in Village Hall, and other places, and anyone who wants to see the budget in full can come in and get that, and when it is finally approved, we will also obviously post that on the website for everybody to see. We're really excited. Our administrator, Barry Lewis, has done a phenomenal job in a very short period of time bringing in an amazing budget. We actually cut over $1 million of appropriations out of our budget from last year. However, because some revenue streams did go down, there'll be about we're expecting about a 1.7% tax levy increase, which is about $80 per household. Obviously, we wish that could be zero, but given the circumstances, given the number of revenue streams that went down, we're really excited about this budget. We think it's very strong, and we actually are able to keep the tax increase down to such a small percentage while still providing all of the services that people in South Orange have come to expect. So we did not cut any services, lay off any staff to bring this budget into where it is. So we're really excited about that. And again, our new administrator has done a really, really excellent job in making sure that we can continue to provide the services that we do while still coming in with a very reasonable tax increase. There'll be a public hearing for the budget on May 14th, and that budget was passed 5-1 last night. And please feel free to email me, come to my office hours if you do have any questions about the budget specifically, and we'll also be posting more information about it on the website. We had a number of resolutions on the consent agenda, which I'll scroll through for you, and we approved that and moved on to approve our bills. We had our second public comment period and then our reports. I'll summarize quickly my report and our administrator's report. My report was basically just about the meeting format, which is we're really experimenting with different ways to make the meetings more efficient, adding items to the agenda more efficient, making sure that trustees have as much information as possible before the meeting so that when we sit down, we're ready to discuss and take action. So making sure that everybody has the materials ahead of time, and making sure that our meetings are formatted in a way that allows for an efficient process, and transparency is really important. So whereas before we had one public comment period, now we have two, which makes sure that there's always a public comment period before the Board of Trustees takes any action. So any resident who sees an item on the agenda, wants to speak out about it, can come to the meeting and speak during the first public comment period and make sure that they can get their voice heard before the board takes any formal action. Then after that action period, where we have ordinances and our resolutions, there's a second public comment period, which allows people to then comment on any action the board did take. We're going to have to keep people to a shorter period of time and enforce the time limits a little bit more to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get heard. But I do think it's important that we allow people the chance to speak before we take any action, and also the chance to speak after we've taken action. So the meeting's kind of divided up into the action portion in the beginning, then there's the public comment section, and there's a discussion portion at the end. And in that discussion portion, we now have reports and also our discussion items. The administrator reported something notable, that is the joint insurance fund that South Orange is a part of. We got an award for 100% safety compliance this year. It's been over a decade that we've had that kind of compliance with various safety measures and seminars and different things that actually help bring our insurance costs down. So Tom Machete at Public Works has been a big part of that, and all the staff here and department heads talk about saving costs. This has been definitely a helper in keeping our insurance costs down. We also had discussed that our fire truck ladder purchase will be on our next meeting. There'll be a resolution for that. We went through some reports from the committees. Then we moved on to our discussion items. The HERAC consulting report about SOPAC. Some of the trustees expressed some disappointment about how in-depth the report was. However, we still need to take action with SOPAC and make sure that we're moving forward to support it. SOPAC brings in an enormous amount of money to the downtown through indirect costs of people spending money when they come see a show. but right now they're hindered with debt on the building. And I don't think anybody understands why the building was financed the way it was. There's basically, SOPAC owns the debt right now, and although obviously that's the village's debt because this is a project of the village, when SOPAC applies for a grant, people see that there's a lot of debt on that, and they're afraid that their grant money is going to go towards paying down debt. When you look at applying for grants, people don't want to pay for operating expenses, and people most certainly don't want to put grants towards paying your debt service. So if the village were to assume that debt, we would expect SOPAC to be in a much better position for getting grants. So we'll be meeting with SOPAC to discuss what steps we need to take going forward to work out how we can support SOPAC, make sure they're in the best position to get the most grants and continue forward as an asset to the town. We also talked about red light cameras. The board did want to move forward with looking at the issue. Basically, the process in New Jersey is actually complex and very accountable, which is different than the way a lot of states do it. So we have given the green light, and we'll do that formally with a resolution in our next meeting to move forward with looking at intersections where red light cameras might be the best. The police department will work with the red light company, and they will determine what intersections they believe are the unsafest, where the most crashes happen, and where the most people run red lights. That's actually put into an application. That goes to the New Jersey State Department of Transportation, and they actually decide whether the intersections are unsafe enough to be eligible for red light cameras, and if the red light cameras will actually improve the safety. So it's a multi-step process to make sure that towns just don't put in red light cameras to collect the ticket revenue. This entire project doesn't cost the village anything to do. The company does it all for free, and honestly, I was so opposed to it in the beginning, but the more you think about it and you start paying more attention to people and how they drive, I mean, the number of people that are driving with headphones on or on their phone or eating while they're driving or reading or texting or driving through red lights, I mean, it's just so dangerous. And if we can do a part to improve the safety, I've personally been to a number of car accidents in town and also pedestrian accidents, and if red light cameras will improve that, I would love to take less people to the hospital because of those kind of accidents. If putting in red light cameras helps with that, that might be a good thing for us to do. So we're going to look at that again. The DOT will be the ones who eventually, at the end of the day, decide whether our intersections are eligible. This just allows the process to move forward a little bit. Looking at potential improvements to Chisholm's Field, that was assigned to the Rec Committee. The Village Council also gave an update of the East Orange water situation, which we're going to have a page on the website that summarizes everything that's happening with that, so all the residents can go to one place and find up-to-date information. We then had a very lengthy discussion about the charter and moving the elections and all the pieces in that. What I suggested to the board was that we put all of these things, the way the process works is the committee looks at the charter, makes a recommendation to the Board of Trustees. The board asked that 3 out of 4 of the largest recommendations were put on the ballot. I'm still not sure, and no one was able to answer last night, why the 4th question wasn't put on the ballot, which is, do residents want to move the elections from May to November, where I think a lot of residents would prefer to keep them nonpartisan and independent in May. They did not put that on the ballot. So after the public weighed in on the ballot, then the board makes a decision to accept the charter. That goes to the state legislature, and then after that point, we're allowed to have all of that come back to the public for a final up or down binding vote on the charter. Because the voters had asked for a number of recommendations that the board is not prepared to move forward on at this time, it doesn't look like either the board wants to change the names of our titles nor institute stipends, even though the voters did approve both of those in a non-binding public opinion poll. My suggestion was then we should put the entire thing up or down to the voters. The trustees did not agree with that, so it will not be going to the voters again. We will have a discussion and an adoption of the charter, of an ordinance for the charter in our next meeting. And then that will go through a first reading, a second reading, and then go to the state legislature. If you have any questions about that or anything else, please feel free to drop me an email at atorpey@southorange.org, or again, stop by my office hours Tuesday afternoons. Thanks, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.